Hello guys, so the other day I released a video on how I'm summoning my abomination, and today I wanted to present, I would say, a better video on how to do it. I would like to also add that this process has been updated. What I did back then was suboptimal, and some things that I did actually didn't work as I thought they did. So I have now refined and made a different process that should be better, and does more damage actually. Before I start explaining how I do all this shit, I want to just talk about the state of minions in a sense. First of all this snapshotting nonsense is actually completely unacceptable and shouldn't be in the game. Minions shouldn't work like this, no build should be able to snapshot, skills should update when you equip a new item, not when you change zone, or if you put in skill points. Skill should like live re-update as you do it. The only reason I'm actually doing this is because I'm exclusively a minion player when I play RPGs, and I tried to play a minion build, a Su type of build, and it felt completely unviable. And since this is my first league, or first season actually, ever playing Last Epoch, I kinda was forced into looking how to actually make a minion build. And then I learned about snapshotting, and that the only way to make a minion build is to make one big guy and buff him to the stratosphere. I know that you can play like Wraith Lord without snapshotting, and you can push like 400 corruption and stuff fine without snapshotting. But when I play these type of games, what I'm really trying to do is min-max and push as hard as possible. And to do that, you kinda are required to snapshot. You're not required to snapshot to just do endgame, kill normal Aberoth, push 400 corruption, but if you want to kill Uber Aberoth, I think that you kinda have to snapshot. Maybe someone has done it without snapshotting, I don't know, but that would be my guess. So now let's move on to how I summon my abomination. The first thing you want to make sure is that you have these items that you see over here. They are the only required things for the actual summoning process. Everything else you see here is just for snapshotting. The way abomination functions is that when you have assembled your abomination, I call this the constellation of minions. The minions that you use to assemble the abomination is saved and imprinted into this guy that just spawned here. So no matter what you equip no matter what items you have equipped, the only thing that matters are the minions that went into making him. Once he is made, you can swap zones freely, do whatever you want with him, but the minions will always remain the same. So the game will always remember that if you use 20 different unique minions to create him, if you swap zones, it won't re-snapshot or remove some of the minions, it will always be those 20 minions inside of him. And that's why you only need to assemble him once. Once you have him created, that's done. You don't need to summon him again. Unless, of course, you log out, or you die, or you remove him from the skill bar, because that desummons him and then you need to make a new one. This makes it really annoying if you're gonna try to progress Uber Aberoth, because if you die, you have to resummon him, and the process takes like 5 minutes, or actually 10 minutes. It's really annoying. So anyways, you need these items, you need this body, because you need Aaron's Will to summon 4 golems, and you need +1 skeleton on the body, so you get 12 skeletons total together with these rings. When you have +12 skeletons, or 3 skeletons from gear, and some extra from the passives and from the skeleton passive tree, you can summon 12 skeletons, which translates into 4 golems. You also need this book, because it summons a random minion that gets consumed when you create the abomination, and this ring to create a crab. This is the only things required. For idols, you need these idols. This to guarantee that you spawn a putrid wraith, and this to guarantee that you spawn flame wraiths. So 2 of these 100%, 2 of these 100%. Now for the actual summoning. So the first thing you want to do when you're summoning abomination is actually unlearn everything. So this is a already done abomination from before. Even if I despecialize this, I will keep him, but since I'm gonna summon a new one, goodbye. Oh, and I don't need the skeletons as well, so I will remove them, but let's just start by removing everything here. Oops. slate. So the first thing you want to do, let's just put this here. And the first thing you want to do is only have one vanguard. Since I had the old Abomination, I had 2 vanguards. So just eat these guys. Remove this guy. And put 1 point here, so I get 1 vanguard. I will summon this. Remove this. Okay, so this is the clean slate that you want to start from. You want to have 1 vanguard, and you want to have no skills here, and put in the rest of the skill points and the skills. So we're going to use Wraiths, we're going to use Golems, we're going to use Mages, and we're going to use normal skills. And how you want to skill here, actually you don't want to use this. What you want to use is this. Let's start with the skeletons. So for the skeletons you're going to put 9 points total to get +1 in all the skeleton points. And for the mages you can start by just putting Leech Life. We're going to explain what to do later. For the goblins, put everything into life. The reason you want to put into life is because the total life of the final Abomination is based on the minion life that is used to consume him. So by putting some extra life, you get some more HP for the Abomination. I don't know if this matters. Probably doesn't, but I mean you can do it, why not? And for the Wraiths, extra life. And this is the most important thing. You need extra duration on the Wraiths because they despawn as they die. So this will give you like 5 seconds extra or something to finish the process in the end, which is really, it's the hardest part of the summoning process. So this will help you a lot. And for the zombie here, you will put 1 point all this way because you want this parasite thing. This parasite will always get consumed by the Abomination because it spawns underneath the zombie when it's eaten, and directly after the Abomination eats this parasite as well. So even if it's only 4 seconds, it will get eaten. The thing is, you also want to max this and put the big zombie. The reason you want the big zombie is because this makes it so you spawn 3 zombies, which is not good. The reason why you only want 1 zombie is because as you assemble Abomination, if you read this node here, your Abomination can only eat 20 maximum minions. I'm not 100% certain how this works, but my theory is that your Abomination will only count this 20 last minions eaten into the equation when making it. So if you have 3 zombies from this, and it's the last thing that you eat, you will be eating 3 zombies that will kick out 3 of the first minions that you consume. So let's say that you're consuming, you eat all the unique monsters, and in the end you eat 3 zombies, and then the zombies get eaten and you eat 3 parasites as well. So you get 6 new monsters shoved into the recipe of making the Abomination. And that would mean that you kick out the 6 first minions, and that would affect this node here, because you get extra damage based on the type. And if 6 different types get kicked out, because you can only fit 20 minions total, you lose a lot of damage. I have done a bunch of testing before when I used these boots that summon vines, and I ate like 9 vines or something because I spawned everything when I walked, and my Abomination did like half the damage that it did before. So I was wondering, why the hell is this happening? And I think this is the reason. Because if you have duplicate minions, it kicks out previous types. That's my fear, at least. So by using this, you only get 1, and you only get 1 parasite here. And you use this so that your guy decays slower. Yeah, that should be all. So now for the actual summoning. I usually like to summon the golems first because they are really annoying. So when you do that, you equip all of this. Also, I was really close to making a mistake. Never have this god awful helm equipped when you're summoning, because when you summon the Wraiths, you will summon a Wraith Lord, and you will fuck up the entire process and they will eat everything. So use any different helm. Never have this equipped when you're summoning. So for the golems, you start off by, oh yeah, I might actually put in the skills here. Mages, skeletons, where's my Wraiths? They're Wraiths, golem, and zombie. So the golems are really annoying because there's a lot of buggy interactions with him. I'm not sure entirely why it's like this, but this is the way it works. So you summon first a bone golem, then you can put in the points afterwards to guarantee summon the flame golem.
It eludes me.
And then respec, you can do that, that's allowed. And put in points to summon the ice golem. And then finally you summon the blood golem. Now, one really important thing to note is that once you have summoned all 4 golems, you absolutely need to remove the points here and put them into twinned golems, because you need the 1 extra golem slot to keep the 4th golem. If I don't put a point here and I remove this body, which will be required to summon skeletons, I will lose 1 golem. So to prevent this from happening, you put in the nodes here and you get to keep him. Also, one really important note is you always need to have the plus extra skeletons nodes inside of this, or you will lose 1 golem as well. I will explain what you're supposed to do about that later, because you will put extra points for the rogues and shit later. But for now I have, let's see, oh wait, I need to summon the golem first. Yeah, now I have all 4 golems, I put in the point, and now I'm free to remove this body without any consequences. I can remove these rings as well, because I don't need them anymore. I just put in these for extra skill points. Now, when you have this golem summoned and this extra vanguard, you have 5 minions total, you can move on to the skeletons. This is the second most annoying part, because they interact with the golems and they do a lot of weird shit together. So to summon the skeletons, you need to remove Darren's will, because it will disable you from summoning skeletons. Once you have done that, you can put the points into rogues and into Dread Phalanx. You don't need to put the Red Phalanx, I do it because you get extra HP on the skeletons, which makes you ammunition tank here. I mean, as I said before, doesn't matter, probably not, but I mean, why not? So, this is done, summon 1 of each, and after you have summoned these, it's really important to unspec all this bullshit, because, as I said before, if you for some reason lose any of these extra skeleton nodes, 1 of the golems will disappear. So to prevent that from happening, you remove these nodes. So if I now for some reason remove these rings, I still only have 9 points spec'd into it, so I can't remove these nodes. If I had removed those rings and had this shit spec'd into it, they would probably remove either Grey Walkers or Mirror Walkers. It happens all the time, you can try it yourself. And then 1 of the golems will disappear. So after you have summoned them, remove these nodes. Really important. Once the skeletons are summoned, you can equip your items again and go on to the mages. For the mages, you have life. You put 1 point into each here, put into this as well, and you will summon 1 of each mage. 1, 2, 3, and after that you will put 1 point into Death Knights and summon 1 Death Knight. So now you have all the basic minions done. To round this up, you actually summon the last passive minions. It will be the crab from this ring, and it will be the minion from this one. Just equipping this will summon a minion. So let's see what I got. I got this purple dog here. As long as you have this shit equipped, you will have this minion. If you remove it, it disappears. So you have to have this on for the rest of the process. I just summon the crab. So now I will have 14 minions total. I have actually 15 minions total. I will have 4 skeleton mages, 3 rogue, 3 skeletons, 4 golems. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 11 total. 12 with this guy. Oh, actually, I'm bad at math. 14 total. I will have this minion from the book and the crab. So 14 minions total here. And now for the actually hard part about summoning. because this actually requires a lot of micromanagement and doing things correct. So I'll explain the process really thoroughly here. The first thing you will do is you will summon a wolf and zombie. Once you have summoned the zombie, you will click the skill and replace it with Abomination, which will incur a cooldown. When the cooldown is done, you will send all your minions with your force minion movement key thing over here. You can't force them over here, because then they will aggro onto the dummies, and the zombie, or they can aggro to the dummies. And if the zombie aggroes to a dummy, he will run and explode and get the spear. So you really want to move them over here. Once you have moved them to this corner, you will summon an abomination over here, because the big abomination can actually eat a small abomination, and it will be counted into this type equation thing. Once you have the zombie and the abomination summoned, you will do the wraiths, and the wraiths are by far the most annoying part. How you summon, the thing about the wraith is that they have like a 20-second duration or something, I think, which is extended by this node that we took earlier. So you will have like 20 seconds total to make all this happen in the end. And what you will do is, as soon as you have summoned Abomination, you will summon one Wraith. When you have summoned one Wraith, you will equip these, summon another Wraith, and force it to be a Flame Wraith. And you will remove them, and equip these, and force Putrid Wraith. And you need to be really quick when you're doing this, because you only have like 20 seconds, maybe less even, to make this whole thing work correctly. It's also really important that when you have summoned the wraiths, when you actually assemble the abomination, that you click on top of the wraiths, so they get eaten first, because they get consumed, or they will die before the entire process is done. So how that would look, I will just show the wraith process here. Let's say that I have summoned an abomination and a zombie now. I would summon one wraith, then I put this, summon one wraith, remove this, put this, summon one wraith, and bam! Click on these wraiths with abomination and eat everything. You see, they are already starting to degenerate. That's the time you have, so you have to be really quick with this. So now I'll actually summon the dude and show you how it looks. As I said, you will have the zombie here. Let's make sure that I have all the points in required. I have the parasite and the big zombie, that's all I really need. So I will summon one zombie, swap to the abomination, wait for the cooldown. When the cooldown is done, send everything, summon one big, shit I fell, should be fine anyways. Send everything, summon one big, why the fuck is that not working? Okay, I will, to be safe I will wait for the zombie to die and we'll do it again. I'm not sure why my abomination button didn't work, but maybe I clicked on something that you can't click on and it was blocked, I don't know. We'll see. So he's starting to die now, just wait for him to die, and then I'll summon a new one. Actually, maybe I can just make a new one. No, I couldn't. Oh yeah, I could. Anyways. Alright, let's do that then. I have the big one, summon the abomination, or click the abomination, wait for the cooldown, send them, summon him. Why the fuck is it not working? Is this a mystery to me, guys? I don't know why it's not being created. Let's try again. Big guy, click this. Okay, now it worked. So now I have this summoned, now it's the wraiths. One wraith, two wraiths, three wraiths, click on the wraiths, and eat everything. And just like that, I have everything needed. From this part, be quick now, because he will start degenning. Remove the zombies, put in the abomination, and put your points into 8 on death. This is the snapshotting part of making the abomination eternal. because your Abomination will actually snapshot the skill tree. So you can put this point after you have summoned him to make him infinite. The thing is, he hasn't snapshotted to it yet. So right now he will tick down because he doesn't have it activated. So I need to snapshot him with Age of Undeath for him to not degenerate. As you see, he starts ticking down now, so all I really have to do, remove this for demonstration purposes. Swap zone here. Now you keep this Abomination. Now I want to talk about the things that can actually mess up this Age of Undeath node. Because there are 3 things that I have found that makes him start ticking down for some reason. The first thing is due to this body. If you ever switch zone and you don't have this body equipped, let's say you have this tanking body equipped instead, and you equip this body, it will disable Age of Undeath and he will start ticking down. So if I swap to this now and wait for some seconds, you will see that just equipping the body, it does something to the skeletons or the golems or something. I'm not sure why this happens, but something about this body, if equipped after you have another body equipped, will make him start degenerating. Let's see and wait so that happens. Yeah, now. As you can see here, he starts ticking down now. And that's only because I had no body equipped, or if you have a different body equipped and put it down, he starts ticking down. If you ever make this mistake, it's easily solvable. All you have to do is swap zone. And he re-snapshots with the Age of Undeath. And the important thing to note here is, if you have this body equipped and swap zone, this interaction actually doesn't happen. So now I swap zone, I have this body equipped. Now I can remove it, I can equip it, I can put on a different body, whatever you do, as long as you have this body when you switch zone for a loading screen, it won't disable the Age of Death, so it's permanent. That's the first thing. So I have lost a lot of Abominations due to this interaction. I didn't know what was happening. I had to test things one by one to see why he was dying, and I found that this body is the reason why. Another reason that makes him degen is when you remove the mages. So let's say you get to this part, you have him assembled, you have the body equipped, you swap zone, you want to swap in the correct skills. So I remove these skills, remove these skills, and I remove these skills. And when I remove the mages, I think at least, he will start degenning. I don't know why, it just happens, it's how it works. At least I think that's the way. That was the way when I had Archmage spec'd into it, because I used to think that Archmage was counted as a unique minion. It doesn't, so I removed it. Maybe it doesn't work like that now. Let's see. Yeah, I removed the mages, and as you see, his HP starts moving. It sucks that it's the way it works, but yeah, it is. So just remember that when you remove the mages, he starts legion. So as before, all you have to do is swap zones, and you fix him. Before I show the last thing that can make disable the undeath node, let's put this stuff back. Because I don't need it anymore. And I'll put it like this. And for the final thing to show here, another thing that disables the regen. Again, don't ask me why, it's just how it works. This is actually the true definition of spaghetti coding. So if you have mages for some reason and you put 1 point into Archmage, maybe you want to do like I did before, you want to have this thing, so you can bring your Abomination around with him. Just putting into Archmage will make him degen. as you will see soon. So, 3 things. Iron's Will body, removing mages, not putting them in. You can put them in, it won't have any effect. Just removing the mages will disable Age of Death. And thirdly, speccing into Archmage will disable Age of Death. Those 3 things, be really careful when you're doing things with Iron's Will or doing things with mages, because they disable Iron's Will. So all you have to do, let's remove them because I won't be using them. All you have to do is just switch zone and re-snapshot. Let's also talk about this gear and gearing a quick bit. So I have no points put into my Abomination right now, so it does absolutely 0 damage. The thing to know about minions is that they snapshot the skill trees as well as the gear. That works for all the minions except for golems. For some reason, if you have golems and you remove a skill point or add a skill point, that live updates the golem. So you can't snapshot skill points for golems, unfortunately. Or probably fortunately, I don't know. So before I start showing everything, I just put in all the skills here I'm going to use. And I'll put in the skill points. So these are the numbers you can see here. He's doing like 90k crits or whatever. It's basically nothing. So I'm going to a different zone to snapshot him. So here I have all the correct gear that I want to use for snapshotting. This is the gear I want to use for snapshotting. And the skill points I will put into is all the damage stuff. And I will put this for now. And the shade stuff. Rudimentary, that's the basic shit for damage. Here, I don't know, whatever. Also really important to note that you only want to put 10 skill points in the beginning, and all 20 for the Abomination, of course. Because these abilities don't snapshot, because you're recasting them all the time. So you can only put 1 point, and this extra point from this unique will get removed from these. So when you try to snapshot them, or you can't snapshot them. Just don't make sure that you don't put in all the points here. So now I have all the skill points put in. Now my Abomination should actually be doing damage, because he will live update to the new skill tree as I change zone and enter a new loading screen. Also I will remove or replace this with the actual abilities that I want to use. As you can see, his damage is much higher now. I mean, I can put on the shades and it will be even more. Important note, this is a team in the final Abomination. I only have 10 skill points and everything, so there's a lot more damage to get to. So before I talk about the skills and the gear, let me just level him up to show you how everything will look in the end. So before you move to the monoliths or whatever you want to do, make sure that you have everything you want equipped, all the gear I want equipped, all the idols I want equipped, and I have all the skill points I want to put into it. So, put it up the map, enter the monolith zone. I usually like to go to a lower level zone, just to be safer, because my Abomination is weak, and I don't really bother with putting on the idols and stuff to make myself tankier. So now my Abomination should have been snapshotted with the correct skills, correct gear, so I can put on the shades, just like that, and from here on I can put on my tank gear, and just enter one monolith to level all my skills up. Inside the monolith, all I will do is just run through the monolith, level it up. So As you can see, the clear speed is actually pretty good with Abomination. One of the weakest part about this build is that apparently the clear speed is supposed to be pretty dog. And to solve it, I didn't discover this. I actually saw it from some other YouTube creator. I can't remember the name, but I think it's pretty meta for this build now to be running these idols. Oh, these idols here. That makes it so when it hits, he inflicts a plague that spreads and like kills everything off screen, as you can see. Yeah. So let's just finish this and level him to 20. There. Okay, so now we have the entire setup. Before you do the final snapshot, where you want, like the final abomination that you will be using, make sure that you equip all the items again, because you're gonna re-put in the skill points here. Just like this. And let's start here with skills. And I'll talk a little bit about everything I put in. First thing, put in nodes here again. Max all these damage nodes. And get this for maximum damage. You get 25% more damage here, you get a shit ton of damage here, a shit ton of damage here, and a bunch of attack speed here. And let's see, I'm missing some. Oh, you can put into this damage node as well. And for the last point, since we're bug abusing, I would call it, since we're snapshotting Wraiths, we're actually able to run Reap of the Damned here to get him soul cleave. I haven't seen other people do this, and the reason is because they're using Age of Undeath, so they can only consume skeletons. So they can't utilize this. This skill is absolutely busted. It does like 2.5 to 3 times more damage than an actual auto hit. And it is a massive like green cleave that gives him a lot of AoE. So even if you don't have any of these idols are really rare, or they're really expensive. Even if you don't have them, your clear would be decent. It will be okay, because you have the cleave, he will one-shot stuff. And since we're using Wraiths into our abomination, we're allowed to use this. For the Wraith, it's just the basic stuff, all the damage nodes, the guaranteed crit, the attack speed shit. For this, I like this, so I can auto-cast my curse, so I don't really have to cast my curse. You get into the cooldown, you get the flat damage here, and you get the haste and frenzy for you, so you have more mobility. And obviously you want the bone armor, more defenses. One big issue is don't path for simulacrum, because you don't want to spawn this bone minion, because this bone minion can actually eat the buff that you get from inheritance here, and you don't want that to happen. So instead, you want to path above here. I like to put 3 points here, 1 point here, and then 2 points here. Remember, you can't put the last point in, because that skill point will be removed when you swap from this idol, from this relic. For the curses, you put into this for the maximum damage multiplier. When you curse your own minion, actually, when you curse your own minion with Bone Curse, which will happen when you teleport him with this node, if you have the correct items, I will show the items later. You will cast Bone Curse on top of him, and you will give him a 50% more damage multiplier. For the last points, you put into the execute. I don't think this matters, but I mean, why not? And I like to make my curse a little bit bigger, and then the last 3 points here into more chance. Let's see. So this is my curse now. And here, I mean, this doesn't matter. You only need these 10 points. What you can do is put points into this here to give a little bit of armor shred. It doesn't matter when you're mapping. I guess it matters when you do your barber off, because you can't one-shot that guy. I'm killing him in like 50 seconds. Maybe this helps, I don't know. So that will be all the skills. When you have the skills sorted, double check so you have all the correct items, the correct idols, and then just swap zone again. So let's go back to this zone here and see how much my guy hits for. So I entered this zone with the correct items, correct skills, and now I also hit this. And you can see this is the damage I'm doing now. So if I put on, let's see, the shades. You get like 48 million crits or something, 50 million. You can actually improve that damage by using this amulet, because he gets the stats from this amulet and it's doubled. So one mod that works here is crit multi that I'm using. It's pretty low roll, it was a T7. I'm also using a necrotic damage modifier here. I got this amulet for like 500,000 gold or something, really cheap. And it's nice to have extra necrotic damage because this skill here actually does necrotic damage. So you can, it says that, which deals melee necrotic damage. So when you get more necrotic damage, that big hit will do more. So you can see here he's critting 74 million. And to maximize the damage, all you do is apply the curses and bam, 82 million, 83 million. So that will be probably the final damage numbers for him. It all depends on if you're proccing this Mark for Death stuff as well. So yeah, this is all the damage stuff. Let me also talk a little bit about the gear as well now. So for the gear, offensively I'm using this here. So we're using this scale of the Lemonisate. Just for damage, it gives a large damage multiplier, almost 300% minion damage. It can roll up to like 330. It gives more HP, and you get a lot of flat damage from the LP stuff. You also get a 30% buff effect on your Dread Shade, which is by far the most important shade. So it gives you everything you want basically. More damage, more tankiness. For the helm, I'm using Brave Lord because it gives 13 melee damage. That's a lot of damage. For some reason in this game, flat damage is extremely broken. You always want flat damage if you can get it. I'm also enchanting it with minion damage and extra necrotic damage, so he hits harder. For the body, you need to use Iron's Will because you need extra skill points it gives. Other than that, it gives some minion health, and into it you want to put minion damage. I actually put crit on this before because I wasn't using the 100% extra crit chance shade thing, because I was trying to make like some type of abomination plus minion armor to help his clear speed and stuff. So I wanted to buff everything with Dread Shade and have extra crit chance. Let me just tell it, it wasn't worth it. It's just better to just run one big guy and having one shot everything and use these idols instead. Rings, Phantom Grips, LP for extra damage, 2 extra skills, the only important thing. If you get 2 LP, get extra life, it helps. For the belt, I'm actually using a T7 minion health regen here. The reason I want to use health regen is because I want to out-heal this Inferno Shade stuff. Because the Inferno Shade will always do damage to him. You can see he's losing like 97 damage health every second. To counteract that, I'm using one regen mod on my gear, and I don't have to bother with rebuffing or removing or doing stupid shit with the Inferno Shade. I can just put it on and forget about it. For the gloves, I'm using Falcon Fists. The reason I'm using these are for the 26 flat fire damage. I think it can roll up to 27, yeah it can. So these aren't even perfect. And you just put damage and health on it. In Lizard's guide, he told people to use these Yulrus gloves, I think they're called. I don't know if I have them. Yeah, he told people to use the gloves that drop from the Sanctum. Because how those gloves function is that they give all the stats to the minion. So you can enchant them with 30% attack speed or something like that. And I mean, maybe it's better, but I think that flat damage is better. Because to be honest, I don't see much changing from attack speed. Attack speed in this game doesn't seem to be that OP. He doesn't seem to be hitting that much faster. Maybe there's a soft cap or something, I don't know. But in general, added flat damage is just way better. These gloves gave him like 30% more damage or something. For the boots, there aren't that many options for boots. I'm using these boots for more movement speed, and then just put on the experimental mod for more damage. I'm just using T6 here because the T7 mod costs like 30 million gold or whatever, and I haven't bothered with getting it. And lastly, the relic. We actually had amulet, but let's talk about the relic. So for the relic, all you want from the relic is extra skill points. So the reason you are using Ambitions of an Erased Acolyte is because it gives +1 all acolyte skills, which translates to extra snapshotting for the Abomination. The most important thing to get is +4 to assemble Abomination. It's way more important than the item itself. If you can't find a relic like this with +4, I bought it from trade. I mean, I'm not a SSF enjoyer, I only play trade. If you can't self-farm this or buy this because it's too expensive or whatever, I bought it for like, I think 1 million gold or like 500,000 gold or something like that early in the league. Then you want to use just a normal relic, like a rare relic with +4. That's all you need. You just want a skill point. And if you happen to be poor or you can't find it, use a normal +4 relic and skip 1 point here, so you will lose 8% damage. That's it. That's the only difference. Getting this relic isn't important. It's just 1 extra skill point for 8% damage. That's what it provides. For the idols, you need Mark for Death, really important. Try to get 7% if you can. The other mod doesn't matter. You can't get any beneficial prefixes on large idols. The only thing you need is the Mark for Death. Small idols, for some reason I mixed Necrotic with Physical Pen. It would probably be optional to just go for 1 element, but idols are really rare to get perfect or really expensive, so I just went for these hybrid versions that were really cheap. You also want one of these, same thing here, I went for a hybrid version. Probably suboptimal, doesn't really matter in the end. And you want these plagued idols for mapping. You could also run more of these idols for single target. If you want to kill Uber or something, run these instead of the plague thing, because the plague thing does absolutely nothing on him. So you can just fill out with this shit. For the tank here, mostly copied from Lizard's guide. We're using double shield because Necromancers have absolutely zero tank. So the thing about Necromancer is that, as noted and as admitted by EHE, Necromancers are really outdated. They don't have any tankiness innate to the Ascendancy. So you really need to tank up for your items instead. What Necromancers get is like 70% ward retention and like some resistances, that's it. Compare that to Sentinels that are basically immortal, mostly from their skill tree. So to survive in high corruption, like I do, you really need to get all full defensive items. So for the defensive items, I'm using this helm for regen and health. The thing is, to use this helm, you need to get extra attributes from other parts of the gear. As you can see, I get 8 strength from this, I get 12 strength from here, and I get some vitality from this belt. If you don't have access to these kind of LP items or mods, you want to use this skull helm instead. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, this helm, because it gives a lot of attributes, which will enable you to run the red rings here. So if you have like bad or starter defensive gear, use this helm instead. For the weapons, double shield as I said before, to block cap and get some block effectiveness. Body, this body, probably the best body in the game for pure defensive purposes for minion builds. Gives you everything you want, it gives you move speed, it gives you extra HP, and it gives you 24% less damage taken. Because 24% of the damage will be mitigated, because it will be taken by the Abomination instead of you. So this body is really important, get life regen on it, it's the most important thing. Secondly, get attributes so you can equip this turnaround afterwards. Gloves, I'm using these gloves. To be fair, I kinda got these gloves recently, so I don't really know what they do. I just followed Lizard's guide, he told me to get these gloves, so I got these gloves. I think they give like 15% less damage taken or something, you do stacks. I haven't read what they do. I just listened and did what he said me to do. You want to use this relic because it gives you a crap ton of extra ward, which is necessary to be able to tank large hits. One difference here is Lizard told people to get +4 extra abomination on this relic. This isn't necessary because he snapshots, so you can like equip this and have this type of relic instead with the defensive mod anointed to it, and he will keep the damage. The extra skill points doesn't matter. So just get one with +1 LP and put on regen on health. For the belt, I'm using this Brew Monster Buckle because I needed the vitality to enable my red rings. It also gives some endurance. I have failed my 2 LP slam, got cold damage. Wasn't what I wanted. I wanted more regen, but what can you do? Red rings, I'm using 2 shit red rings because I'm bad at this game. I don't know how to farm. And yeah, this is what I have. You want this because you want the damage reduction and it allows you to cap resistances. I mean, it's the most expensive ring in the game for a reason. I guess this it's just a broken item, so use it. And finally the boots. Use these boots to enable your red rings because you need the attributes. It's really hard to hit the attributes. So also gives a lot of boom speed. For the LP slam, I would prioritize getting the teleport things. I had a pair before which only had movement speed. I noticed that while I was running around with my abomination, I couldn't control him. It felt really bad. So the teleport stuff is, I would say, mandatory, so you can actually control him and tell him what to kill. So let's say you're just running through maps and you see a pack, you just teleport on top of them, you bring him and he one-shots them. That's how this minion build is played. If you can get 2 LP, then you put on movement speed after. It's a preference thing. Maybe you can run movement speed instead. I did. I think it felt pretty bad, so I would urge you to run the teleport stuff instead. And finally, let's talk about the skill tree. So for the skill tree, this is how my first 20 points look. The reason I put 8 points here is because I need this to hit my breakpoint. If I could hit the breakpoint for the red rings without putting here the points here, I would put 2 points here for more ward retention. For the Necromancer tree, this is how it looks. We grab damage to put everything into the armor shred, some regen, this to get the extra skeleton for the whole summoning process. I didn't put the points into ward retention here. I think 35 is too little, and I mean the ward isn't that good, to be honest. I mean, you could sacrifice some damage if you want more ward, but I mean, I like to max my numbers, so I put all into here for extra damage. Flat is broken, as I said before. You put points here for more life, because life is how you scale defenses in this build. You get the skeleton here. I put 7 points here for the extra vitality to enable a red ring. All the damage nodes here. All the flat damage here. I put 8 points here. This is a really valuable point here, especially for this build, where we're using the Soul Cleave, so you actually get extra damage benefit from the Wraith Scythe slash thing. So the 120% extra damage here actually does something. You also want points here because you want to cap your elemental resistances, and without these points I'm not capped. And for some reason I have 1 extra mage here. It's not necessary. I will remove this because I only need 4 mages to summon my abomination. And that should be all. When you have all this, so now I have all the skill points assembled, I have all the correct gear on. All you have to do is enter a zone. Let's say I pick this 1400 corruption zone. As I said, when you enter a new zone, when you see a loading screen or a background for a loading screen, that's when your abomination snapshots. So as if you move to a new zone, say you move to a market, or you move to kill Abroth, normal one, or you move to this monolith zone, you will incur a loading screen, and then your abomination or other minions will snapshot. And during the loading screen, your game will read what items do you have, what idols do you have, what skill tree are you using? I'm using the wrong skill tree now, so I actually bricked my abomination. So I will put on this one. Re-snapshot him by moving to a different zone. Doesn't matter which zone you go to. Which was stupid. My bad. Okay, now it's updated. So again, switch zone and swap back. Offensive gear, I have all my defensive gear here, I have all the skill trees on. I forgot to put the idols on, but I can do it afterwards, doesn't really matter. So, just put on the defensive gear. Actually, I fucking fucked up again, I'm so sorry. I have the wrong amulet actually. Even I make huge mistakes, it doesn't really matter, you just have to re-snapshot and do this bullshit process on and on again. Actually, let's go here. Alright, so we have the right gear here. Let me grab the idols I'm gonna use as well. Okay, let's double check everything. So I have the correct weapon, helm, the correct body, the correct amulet. All this stuff is correct. I have the correct idols, and my skills are on. Now I'm ready to swap to the right zone. So we go back here. And we put on all the defensive gear. So put on the gear. And we remove the idols that we're not going to use. And put in the correct idols. That should be all. And now I just buff my guy up. Actually, I want to buff him with this thing on. You want to use the scythe when you're buffing him because it gives 30% buff effect. I don't know if I told you before, but when you put on the red shade, make sure that you have this equipped for maximum damage. Like that. Put this, put on this. I like to remove this so I don't misclick them by accident. And then you just do a map. Let's see what I'll do here. Let's try this one. 1400 corruption. Yeah, that didn't count as a loading screen. The thing is, when you do monoliths, you can just keep this setup and this gear. You don't have to re-snapshot. You can just chain maps and run this setup all the time. And then you just run through the map and he will probably one-shot everything you see. And as you can see, when he hits, sometimes he procs the plague thing. That's like almost all his clear speed. And if he doesn't, you will see he do the cleave scythe thing that just one-shots everything. So as I told you, the clear speed about with this build is pretty subpar, but I mean it's acceptable if you have this setup. I have seen other Abomination builds and their clear speed looked absolutely atrocious because they didn't have the idols and they didn't have the cleave. So yeah, this is how the mapping actually looks. You're tanky, he one-shots everything. You can push really high corruptions without really bothering about things. Let's see, this is an Exile mage over here. You summon it. He comes out and he gets one-shot too. See, there's a Nemesis monster over here. I go to it. Summon it. Boom, one-shot too. Yeah. That would be all. thank you guys, and until next time.